Thanks for joining us. I'm Calista Solomon, and you're watching NLC Trans. Tonight I'm here with my usual co-hosts and dear friends, Tara Alexander, Stacy Dozier, and Renee Benoit. And we have a very special guest tonight, as promised. We have Rob McHalen, who is the Executive Director of True Colors, a wonderful organization. And I would hope that you could maybe give us a little bit of history and background on your organization and what you guys do.
Great, I'd love to. Well, True Colors does education and advocacy for gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, intersex, queer questioning, two-spirit, same-gender-loving, pansexual, flexual, not straight, not labeling, straight-ish, hetero-flexible, multisexual, gender-bending, gender-blending, genderqueer, and other sexual and gender minority youth. We work with adolescents.
See, now you've saved me the trouble of asking you to do that.
Yeah.
God, you lost me. You know, that's an interesting thing. The alphabet soup is what it calls it. There's so many letters and so many different designations now.
Identities.
It's crazy, but it's fun.
Yeah, I think it's fun.
And you do a great job with that.
Well, I collect them. So I ask young people when I meet them, or we're having conversations, well, how do you identify? And more youth are identifying as straight-ish, hetero-flexible, homo-flexible, you know, that recognizing that people's attractions can be fluid. Yes. And that I think what happens is that anytime somebody creates a box, other people are going to try to kick it down. And adolescents are really good at that. And so, you know, we look at adolescents sort of in their environment. So a lot of the work that we do is to look at all the systems that touch young people. So we work with the Department of Children and Families to make sure that kids in out-of-home care receive the kinds of care that they need and that they're culturally competent. We do youth leadership development so young people can develop the skills they need to speak truth to power for themselves, to use their own voices. We do foster parent recruitment and mentoring. We're like the LGBT big brothers, big sisters. And we've got actually over 100 kids in the mentoring program now. And so wherever your listeners are, there's a kid waiting for them. So I think that, you know, you should just know that, and that they should call you if they want to find out more about that, and we can get them hooked up. We also do an annual conference, which is the largest LGBTQI ABCDFG conference in the country. And there'll be about, March 12th and 13th, right at UCONN. There'll be about 2,500 or 3,000 folks there. Wow. And this year, for the first time, we're doing a spiritual institute to help young people recognize that they are beautiful creations of a universe that loves them, and that whatever they've been told, that they are loving, perfect beings as they are. And we had to create it as a separate institute because we also get some public funding, and so, you know, with the separation of church and state, we created this whole separate institute so that there's going to be all kinds of workshops for young people to learn that whatever spiritual tradition they come from, there are spiritual traditions in which they are valued and which they have value and are affirmed. So that's really exciting.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Anyway.
See, you ask me one question and off I go.
No, that's
blew through a lot of the bullet points.
Sure, we want to know all about your organization and you personally, certainly too. But that's really wonderful. It's amazing to me. I think how comfortable kids are now. You know, I mean, when I was that age, you know, there were things like that. God, you know, gender flexible or something. If I'd said those words, I would have been pounded.
Yeah. You know, and kids still are sometimes. It's really a range of things. That there are kids that people say, I'm gay, I'm trans, I'm whatever, and people go like, yep, okay, whatever. You know, move on, let's move on. And other times, you know, last year we had 4 or 5 kids that were exorcised by caregivers to try to get rid of the demons. So it's really pretty much all that whole range, depending upon who their family is, where they come from. You know, in a community, this school in a community could be wonderful, this school in a community could not be. So it's so individual. But what we do know is that kids who get support don't have any more issues than any other kid, you know, and that kids who are valued just sort of grow up, and this becomes one element of their identity.
Right.
It's not, you know, the end all and be all. It's just one part of who you are, and then you move and have a full, you know, life. So I think that's really important. And a lot of kids are finding that now. I think in one 5-week period, at the end of the year, we got 9 referrals for trans kids, and 5 of them were under 10 years old.
Wow.
And so, you know, clearly there's a sea change for gay and lesbian and bisexual kids, but also for trans kids. I think there's a lot more language, there's a lot more information. Kids are being able to describe their experiences more accurately sooner, and people are listening differently than they did, you know, like in my generation, or, you know. So
There's a change in the parents as well.
yeah,
That we're seeing.
I think so, really.
This is
That,
very, very exciting. God, I'm jealous.
yeah.
Yeah.
I went to, over the holidays, we went to a trans youth Christmas party. And because there's a couple of different groups that run in the state. And so this wonderful guy, Tony Fiorello, runs the group in New
That's what you're
Haven.
talking
And so he invited, and the young people invited True Colors to come. And what was the coolest thing ever was that it wasn't a trans youth Christmas party.
Yeah.
It was a Christmas party, and there were trans youth there.
Yeah.
So there were these kids and their parents and one of the grandmothers of the children baked everything. One of the kids asked the chorus from his school to come and do carols. And so I was just sitting there like, oh, you know, that it was just, and all the kids were standing in a circle talking to each other, and all the adults were out, you know, and it was just like so,
Yeah.
you know, adolescent, you know,
Yeah.
and just amazing.
Yeah. Sort of the thing that I never would have had was sort of a degree of normalcy.
Yeah, that trans was one part of their identity, but their identity is that they're adolescents. And they had friends, and they had families, and they were celebrating the holidays together.
Right.
I mean, I think that's a sea change. That's
Sure.
a sea change.
That's great. It really is wonderful.
Yeah.
I know it was almost shocking to me the first year I went to True Colors, which was only 2 or 3 years ago. And, well, it was the first year I was at UCONN, so I
Right.
think 2 years ago. And I knew about the conference, I knew about the organization.